You know, actually, the DJing brought me to programming because the record label was doing good and there was no software. And so I had to teach myself programming. So yeah, that's how life. So yeah, welcome to Automate Chaos and Community Ops. As you know, we run this conference with many, many volunteers. And we have quite like operations like this, but also like operations like PyCon DE and PyData with like 1,500 people around. And so there's a lot of things to be done. I mean, like managing 1,500 people with tickets, speakers, people cancel on, off. It's a lot of stuff. And none of us can use Excel. That's why we program stuff. So, yeah. So, the slides might be a bit chaotic. This is on purpose because it's about what's been thought, and I just enjoy doing style like this. So actually, what do we do with what are tasks we can automate? Or we have to automate to basically survive and manage. Yeah, because spoiler alert for the next slide, volunteer time is valuable and must not be wasted on bureaucracy, copy pasting. Yeah, we want to focus on the experience. Hey, how can we get better talks? What do we need to bring to the conference as topics? This is our main focus, not like, okay, can we compare these two Excel lists? We cannot use anyway. So we have to manage like speaker tickets, issue speaker tickets, organizer tickets, grant tickets, and people cancel, new people join, and they need assigned tickets. Then we have marketing as well, because as a community, you probably, we lack a little bit talent in marketing, which I think is good because everything's very authentic. But on the downside, if you talk to sponsors, in marketing reports like, hey, who actually attended, who are the employees, it's actually helping because sponsors help us to fund the conference as well, and other funds. So yes, also like to monitor the quality, for example, like to make quality social media posts, or to collect LinkedIn praise. So many people post on LinkedIn about the conference, and yeah, you don't really want to have the person that goes on LinkedIn and takes manual screenshots and give it names, stuff like that. Then of course for the talks, to promote the talks or to make them visible to people who don't know the conference yet, create media for online. Then of course people change the title of the talk. We need to read. They need to be recreated. This all needs to be automated as well. Then of course we have the videos, and if you have probably noticed, we have rough cuts of the videos from yesterday already. Yeah, so you don't need to skip through the live stream. Also, this is thanks to an Agentic AI project we did, and it's working, and currently it's working on this morning's videos as well. So we have to publish the videos. We need descriptions. We need to inform people, hey, your video is published. We need a description like there. We need to auto-post email. And of course, we also have ops. For example, if you want to onboard 1,500 people on the Discord, this is something you don't want to do manually. So actually everything's connected to your tickets and roles, and everything's done by a bot. And and also the video login, of course. So this is probably not all the tools, but gives you like a little oversight. There's a lot of stuff we need to automate and operate. And of course, we only run few conferences. We try to build stuff for the conferences to be reusable for other conferences. But of course, we always have, hey, there's the next conference. Let's get the software ready. And if it's not perfectly ready, okay, next year. So it's of course a little bit on and off working. And so, yeah, so I adapted the view, okay, looking back, because I think we have accomplished a lot in past years with great new tools and stuff. And now the big question is, can like AI agents help us go even further, because we are so good in AI and we can navigate it? So can we level up our stack with AI agents, say, hey, cool, we know about large language models for years. We have a good overview. We can navigate that, and so level up the stack, or like free month with all the models. How is it called? Or like 3 months later. I don't know if you know the movie. So it's a bit like, yeah. I want to give like a summarized subjective report, because of course this was not like in a controlled environment or so. It's just like trying many things, like trying many models, try vibe coding, try assisted coding, see what works best and what brings extra value, or what to do, what to bring value. And so I want to give you like an anecdotic overview, what I have learned and what I've heard from others in the team when they worked with these tools. In Heidelberg, we also ran a one-day hackathon, like where you basically could also say, yeah, mission possible, and can you do a startup MVP within a short time frame and present it. So where do we actually stand, like with the terms? Because like there's a new term every day. Everything in AI is invented within like 12 hours. So let me get everybody on the same page for like this. Where do we stand? I mean, on the left side we have vibe coding, which is actually people you just give high-level instructions and you basically never read the code. You have AI-assisted engineering, where you give very concise instructions, documentation, and you follow up what the agent is doing and everything in between. And of course, we also have MCP, which is also like, there's MCP, and many MCP servers, and everybody's happy. Oh, there's a new MCP server. Have you ever tested how good it does? No, nobody. It's just like too much. I mean, there's nobody is able really to follow up on everything. And this is probably also why I put the always late rabbit over there, because this is how it feels. So how does it feel? To basically, you have to know your stack. You have to know the right words for the right model to speak the right formula. That today the model will give you the output you probably expect. But of course, there's model updates. It might change, so the magic formulas might be different tomorrow, because everything or most models we work with are behind walls of API. So there's only a few we can run locally. We can always say, okay, we can have probably a little bit more stability here. So this is basically, we're back to alchemy again. But that's not too bad. If you knew, probably you don't know, also Newton was kind of an alchemist and stuff. So and still he did all the stuff for physics. So it's okay. It's okay we do it. So this is like the projects that were done in these 3 months, and how on the left side you see like, was it a little bit more like vibe coding or like more assisted AI coding, and did that work well or not? And I want to give you like some anecdotes and why I think stuff like that worked and did not work, or didn't work that well. It's not super simple. There's a few guidelines and tips I'm happy to share. And let's dive into it. So, of course, let me first start with my inner self, the critical, super critical, I always see the problem, software engineer. I was like, hey, let's do an analysis. Since from 2019 to 2024, we were here in Berlin with PyCon DE and PyData. And then this year we moved to Darmstadt in Southwest Germany, and we're also we're wondering, where do people actually come from? And so I said, okay, yes, we have ticket information stuff. We can have like where at least the company resides somewhere in the data. Okay, we can finally do that analysis, and we have AI agents. And this was basically the first thing, one of the first things that came out. And I think AI agents can be really helpful to do fancy visualizations, because I was always fighting with visualization libraries. Okay, what's the right attribute to do that or that? And if you never know, sometimes there are multiple layers. So passing on attributes which are not in one documentation, but you have to pass it on to Matplotlib. Sometimes it's hard, so it's really nice. But actually, when I looked at the data, I said, no, more than one person from Heidelberg actually attended. So actually, you basically have this flashy, wow, what a cool map, until you realize, okay, it's only like a third of the data, and you don't know even, you didn't even have a clue, is that like a representative sample or not? So the other fancy thing is, if you let the agent work, I never used Rich before. Who gives you this really fancy command line interfaces, which is not a bad idea for tools you hardly use because they can provide good guidance and stuff. But of course, there was like many command line steps. You could do basically everything to configure, but basically, if you look deeper, yeah, they didn't really all work. It was just like, hey, fancy facade as well. So okay, it was fancy, overreaching, dysfunctional. Yes.
Good question. Does it mean there are no international attendees, or you just made it specifically German attendees?
Yes, I just made it specific for Germany. Yes, we have people from outside Germany. Yeah, but good question. Yes, yeah, we that was focused on Germany. But there's also the very happy project owner, because if you start to work with Agentic AI, you suddenly have these multiple hats because you're also like the PO, you're the project owner. Suddenly, you can navigate and tell the coding agent what to do. And for example, like for PyCon DE, we had like a lot of like really great posts on LinkedIn. Like we collected more than like 250 posts from people from LinkedIn, and we saw like many of them were like, hey, I really like this talk. It was not just like, hey, I was here with the photo. So it was really, this was good content pointing that. You were still people really engaged with what people talked about. They had a good time and they shared it. And this is something that also can help us like for sponsors, as a track record, but you don't really want to put a person on LinkedIn and do like 250 screenshots, right? And this is something with the AI agent worked pretty well to automate a screen scraper for LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is actually pretty hard to scrape, but the agent actually was pretty good in figuring it out and mimicking the user interaction and taking the screenshots, which was quite surprised. Right? Yeah, so I didn't expect that. So with all that, now enough about like what I told you. So now it's about you. So like you already know me here. So now I want to ask you questions. And I hope Slido is working. So first, my first presentation was Slido. So let's hope it's loading. So get your phone and just answer the following question. Have you used an AI coding agent in the past 3 months? Yeah. Okay. Okay. I think we're getting close. Yeah. Thanks. A lot of feedback. Yeah. Yeah. I think we got it. Okay. Interesting. Like, so 50%, it's part of the workflow. Okay. Really cool. Wow. Everybody, almost everybody, yeah. There's a few people not yet, but at least, yeah, you're interested. So I hope you learned something. So if you answered yes, so keep up your phone. If you answered yes, what did you use it for most? And we have refactoring code, writing boilerplate, debugging, documentation, or anything else.
Should have been an option doing everything.
All right, I think okay. Interesting. A lot writing boilerplate, yes. Debugging, refactoring code, documentation. How chatty was that documentation? If I was saying, okay, yeah. And other things, yeah, yeah. And final question: keep up your phone. How satisfied were you with the results? I mean, I'm satisfied. Like, if you lead stuff on LinkedIn, and many people in management, they actually think like AI coding is like a 10 times productivity booster. Like, yeah, I mean, that's the wow, yeah, thing. And if you think, okay, a double, and like, yeah. Okay. All right. So I really want to talk to the people who said, I love it, game changer 10 times. I would really like to learn from you, but I'm really actually curious to learn more why you that. Okay, but many say, yeah, mixed bag. It brings value to the table, but it's not like the game changer as you read in the news. Yeah, and it's helpful. And yeah, okay, cool. So let's see what I can tell you about. So tools and models that were used in the past like 3 months intensively to do stuff on and everything I showed before. So Claude Code, Gemini, Quencoder Plus. You can get Quencoder and Quencoder Plus via Alibaba in Singapore directly. Codex from OpenAI. Quencoder, you can also use Quencoder locally with a quantized model. You can even run it on a Silicon MacBook. And of course, there's all the tools like CLI tools. Yeah, there's many. There's Roo. Roo is a framework that you can plug it into Visual Studio Code, and it gives you different architects, like different roles that can of AI agents that can interact, like an architect, a coder, a debugger, and actually, yeah, if you look behind the scene, that's just like another system prompt. So I didn't really find any magic, but it's really hard also to understand what do these extra tools actually do? What do they bring to the table, or do they just provide extra prompts? Yeah, we also, I tried CodeFlow, which is also like one of these, many things work together. We put it in a database, whatever. I could not really see any improvement, and I could not really see it brought extra value to the table. And but maybe it was just me. The documentation is, I couldn't wrap my head around if anything was actually working, or if it was just like coding with Claude, coding with code, yes. So actually I got rid of Copilot because Copilot is like, okay, I thought Copilot waste of time actually. That's also what I hear from people in many companies who have had adapted Copilot. They say, yeah, it's not as useful. And there's Coder, June from, there's like tons of new tools every day or not. And then we have to deal with them. And so let me give you a little anecdotal overview, what I learned from these different models, how they were useful or not. But the first thing, of course, but we see there's a lot of experience here. Of course, the first thing you have to deal with is actually the augmented arrogance. Like everything's amazing, awesome solution, yeah. And I really try to put it in the prompt to really ask, hey, it's okay to ask for assistance, or if you're stuck, no, the model always delivers. This is like what I call, and I think this is also implemented arrogance from the people who design the prompts and the models, yeah, to always say, yeah, that worked, to never say, no, I'm stuck, help me. Yes, because this would be more helpful in a code. Yeah, you laugh, but it would be more helpful if the model would not say, hey, let me throw you like 1,000 lines of code, which is really great, and you say, it's all like that, not what I asked for. It would have really better if the models were able to say, no, I'm stuck, help me, or give me some more directions here. And even if you try to put these instructions, it's basically always looking for the perfect implementation plan. It always just wants to follow through. So, and now why I tell you a little bit about these experiences. So I already mentioned, like, the LinkedIn stuff was working really well for the screenshots, like using the interaction. Nothing will happen. It's always like the same. So it's just a background noise here. Because that's also stuff that might happen. Models just get stuck in repeated loops. So let's take that as a background noise for like some anecdotes. But let's watch the time. Yeah. So yeah, screenshots LinkedIn worked really well. Also, anything with well-documented or even a lot documented APIs, like LinkedIn also has a lot of API documents, but they have many versions of the API, so it's really hard to find good advice on the API version. You're actually trying to implement something. Actually, it's something I tried last year already, but this year it really worked well to do a post with a picture and put the link in the comments because we want to publish the talks, and it's also something you don't really want a person to do these 120 posts anymore. Thank you to you. Yeah. So anyway, so yeah, it's yeah, that's something we can automate in the future. The user stats reports, anything with data, and especially without data models who basically check and give you guardrails, did not really work well. So actually, I have nightmares when people buy software with AI agents in and they do like their data analytics on that stuff, because you will always have a fancy dashboard, but you really need to question. So from the experience, also it was really, really bad at, and that's what unexpected, on data normalization, because we want to learn, hey, where do the attendees, where do they study, like, or what's the affiliation? And of course, everybody has like the manages how to put the employer name a little bit different. And this is something you think, okay, and large language model should be like an easy task to normalize. Actually, not at all. It was really bad at that. Yeah, CI/CD pipelines for security scans. This is also something you expect, okay, yeah, come on, this is like, there's so much stuff out there for Azure. That should be easy because there should be like a lot of things, a lot of like a large corpus to learn from out in the wild. And actually also that didn't really work well, unexpectedly. A 4-step video release process. So like get the videos, get metadata, publish them on YouTube, do some stuff, like everything which was like procedural, but a multi-step with very different tasks also did not work well, unexpectedly, because for humans it's like, yeah, it was very, very easy. Yeah. Access to well-documented good APIs, like for example Pretix, the ticketing system, has a really good API. It's well-documented. So getting the REST API plugged in our system, that the agent was actually really good at that. If the API is doing things differently, or like some exotic or not so common API patterns, yeah, it did not work as well. An ebook to German audio, so an ebook to German read audiobook. I was a bit tired of reading or listening to English, so that worked well on the fancy part, but just like to have a consistent processing pipeline. Yes, I have translated it from English to German. Yes, I have I did the speech synthesis for the next step in German. And if something fails, you just say, hey, fails. Oh yeah, this was processed to done. All these like really simple processing steps, as you do in every like one-on-one data pipeline, did not work at all. And the model was not really aware of that this is a good process, which was also unexpected. Yeah, the video cutting with computer vision worked well. So I knew like cutting videos should be simple from because it's a computer vision problem. We have break slides. We just need to identify the break slides. I'm not a computer vision expert, but I think that was sufficient expertise. That worked really well, actually. So just to know, okay, this is a problem, I can solve it, and it brings boilerplate code, and you write a pipeline, and that worked really well. Yeah, and that's something also like that really helped when I go back to the audiobook example. That was also really good for tuning, translation, or getting extra dictionaries in, because like of course you always have like, especially if something German, you have foreign words, you have like a different pronunciation, because in German we also always say keep the original pronunciation. So that worked really well, like getting these extra things in. We spent like a lot of time like, hey, how do you implement this, and where do I find why? Yeah, but also worked well adding features to the video app. I heard that worked well as well, like extending things. Yeah, so that was some stuff. So even when I tried to look at this, of course, it's like a kitchen renovation. Yeah, you have to say, okay, can we put like something here? Yeah, because there's also like, yeah, it's the outside, and there's some, yeah, the different walls. So can we can we hang something there or not? Oh, we need more space here. We need something here. We should exchange something here. This could also be like a program, and can I just say, oh, okay, can you just focus on fixing that? And even that turned out to be hard, because very often you have still context from other parts of the application in, and it's still not really focusing on the problem. So if you started with especially vibe coding, you also have to consider debugging, and then it probably looks like this. And I think I think a very good, I remembered what's the best mental model to think about agents and what they can bring to the table or not, is still like large language models, as fancy as they seem in agentic outfits, they are parrots. And if you ask the question, what are many large language models? Many parrots, yes. So basically, this is the experience. You basically see, yeah, it's really useful parrots. It's good, but you cannot really expect the models to have an oversight of the program. I thought it was quite disturbing that basically you always have configuration in code. This is also something like a very common pattern. You say, okay, you put some stuff in config and you put stuff in code, and the model always tries to solve stuff directly in code. Also, many things were repetitive. It's very good it's reasonably good in writing procedural code from, yeah, do this, do that, and after that. But if you ask similar things 3 times, you will have the same code for 3 times. On the other hand, if you ask, that's the many parrots, if you ask another model, please refactor this to idiomatic Python, this still might work, yeah, with guidance, yeah. So it's also like going back and forth with different jobs. But anyway, it's really hard to grasp and generalize what works well, and especially if you do too much, yeah. I'm citing for a friend here, yeah. So basically, if you have the agent, it also makes you like, or he argues, it can make you, he made him like a lazy thinker, yeah. And you, instead of, oh, I don't want to read all that code the agent produced, I'd rather try to persuade the system further. I mean, agents, they can produce a lot of code. So basically, if Microsoft, there was this 1 week when I think, maybe the numbers are off, but I think Zuckerberg said, oh, 20% of Facebook code is written by AI agents. And then I think Microsoft said, yeah, it's like 30%. And probably Musk said it's like 150% of our code is written by agents. Yeah, but then if you look at how much code agents produce and how redundant the code is, I'm not surprised. I would, easily 50%. Yeah, you have the 50%, but maybe I think like 10 years ago, I read in a microblog post, you say, hey, what's a good question for an interview? It's not like how many codes have you written, lines of codes have you written, how many lines of codes have you deleted? And this is also something agents basically never do unless you ask for refactoring to delete stuff. They leave everything behind. They always add to the problem, and even and also if you do like a lot of agentic code, I'm still citing for this friend, yeah. What are also you have to consider, what's your context size window? How many things can you produce? And when you should probably consider to stop and do less. If you disable your MacBook to go to sleep when you close it. Yeah, this is, by the way, the instructions sudo pmset. And the agents can continue to work in the background. You have multiple projects at the same time because you're the PO. You just have to navigate to that, and you rather prompt than read. And to get further, you basically have to read more than write prompts. I think this is very important. And let me summarize with the best practices I found. If you have AI agents, yeah, have AI agents like retro robodocs, yeah. If you don't keep them on a short leash, you will probably get something like this. Yeah, you get always hey, I have this, I've implemented this, I never asked for this feature, remember the rich thing? Yeah, you always get yeah, so many extra features. Yeah, it's like the over-delivering best, a super intern, but which is all probably a little bit over-motivated. Yeah, so let me summarize my advice. keep your agents on a short leash. Yeah, narrow down the use cases, have guardrails, use necessary tools, not like put every MCP out there because it might help. You really have to narrow it down. Commit often, or you can also ask the agent to commit often, because sometimes they go off and you want to basically reset to a certain commit. You use sub-agents. So I think Cloud Code is definitely by far the best. Quencoder Plus was also good, but also API calls are expensive there. They add up. But Cloud Code with Gemini as sub-agent called via API can also contribute a lot in the API calls at very reasonable priced. And and you are yourself worst enemy. You have to manage your own expectations, because it makes these prompting make you lazy. And if I might summarize advice to my younger self, focus on one project, really focus what the agent is doing, because the agent gives you, especially when writing boilerplate, it gives you extra mental capacity to follow what the agent is doing, to keep like another level. You're basically also switching roles to more like a project owner, and you think, what are the next steps, or what are the tests I should write after this implementation to prove it. So this would be the best advice. And also, we have to consider, I'm not really sure if we will see like major improvements here, because we already know for 1 year, more data will not improve the levels and the larger model sizes will not improve. And maybe we'll have specialized models for coding, because, for example, Cloud Code runs on the regular Claude model. It's not specialized. But also, some have the impression that the model quality is actually degrading also recently. And that might be because currently, first you try to get the market, you do offerings, but inference on that level with that level size is expensive. And one way to basically not burn that much money is to decrease the quality. And that said, I think it's really fun to work with agents if you have the right guardrails and everything. So I was also happy to contribute to Handelsblatt, because many people are always like, this is like a topic, like, hey, what about AI job, IT AI jobs? So I was happy to contribute. So I think AI and agents also re-enable the generalist. If you remember in the websites in the 80s and 90s, they had like the admin webmaster at domain, and the webmaster was like the magic person who could do everything, like databases, websites, anything. And of course, this is in a way back. So I have no clue about UI coding, but I still can read CSS, HTML, so I can navigate boilerplate and get stuff done, which would take a lot of time. So it's a big time saver for many things, but you cannot really go too far or too deep. And I'm really thinking the exciting part is you have a lot of provider for very simple applications and add-on applications. And I think AI agents also might replace them, because they're easy to build and they're very easily to adapt and cheaper to adapt to you to buy the new agentic software than to hire someone to fix your SAP or whatever system. So it's also democratizing coding for many people and many aspects. So thank you very much for listening.
Thanks, Alex, for navigating the chaos. So there are two quick questions. The first one, who maintains this agents zoo? How much time does it take to herd this agent zoo?
The what?
The agent zoo of agents.
Oh, the zoo of agents. Oh, no, it's not like a zoo. There's only usually one agent involved. So actually, like, some subscription have been canceled. It was trying things because, like, hey, what's suitable best, what brings most value to the table? And I think there's a general agreement that Claude Code is still like the best, but also like the Quencoder Plus was also quite good. Gemini, I have really mixed things. Fast, but it didn't really work well for me many times. Yeah.
The next question, you mentioned about the arrogance effect. Did you manage to find a way to make a model argue with you for the best solution?
No, actually, that's really hard not Actually, it never made the Model 2.
Very agreeable.
Yes. So if somebody has it, but I also I discussed it with people recently, and it's basically impossible. Also, it's impossible to undo all this. Hey, really cool solution, or you say, oh, you made a mistake. Oh, that's a really good point. All this positive feedback. Yeah. I mean, if you have a bad day and you want to feel good, just ask your agent and scream it, and yeah, you're good, well done, best. But I think that's also hurtful, because I think I mean, we humans, we learn from constructive criticism. Yeah, this is not good to learn. Like if there's always feedback, you make a bad proposal and said, yeah, great idea, right? Yeah. So we'll see, but maybe we're still like in an early stage still. So yeah, maybe next year things will be different, and we have probably also like a Python coding agent that does not start with OS path and old school Python, which uses modern Python with type-ins. Yeah, and thank you.
We'll take the final question. I don't want to stand between you and the coffee. What's the cost of agentifying the whole process?
The cost of agent, the final whole process. Okay, I think in total we probably spend like 1,000 euros on subscriptions. Yeah, but still, like, what's 1,000 euros if you think how much time we save? Yeah. So I think Cloud Max. So I'm not associate. I'm not getting. But actually, I think Cloud Max is still the best package. You get the most of stuff. The APIs are pretty expensive. They can really add up even. And it's the other thing is, it's really hard to understand how much you pay, because you have. They made up like a very complex model. Yeah, you pay per token, but yeah, cash tokens are like for free, or you get like 80% rebate. And basically, yeah, how should I know which tokens are like cashed? Like, or will be cashed?
Tokens.
Yes. So it's basically, yeah, okay, that sounds really good. You make a really good sales pitch, but how much is it at the end? And so stuff that sounds cheap might really add up. And of course, you have to be cautious about that. So I would always argue, yeah, like flat fee is still a good way to go. And if you need more, people have considered, like, maybe you can also get 2 Cloud Max subscriptions if you, yeah, so stuff like that. I mean, this is crazy thought sometimes. And yeah, anyway, yeah, but still, I'm hoping for more expert models. We still run on the general big models, and I don't see a reason why we need all that extra context in coding models. I don't really see it. And actually, one final point, I also discussed with people, for example, at EuroSciPy, with maintainers from open source libraries, and they still like saying, yeah, they think it's useful, but most useful is still autocomplete, like also where you have like agents or a model supporting autocomplete for boring stuff. It's still probably helping more than writing a prompt and checking and debugging the output.
On the hope for domain language models, yeah, let's thank Alex again. Wonderful.